episode of Fermented Adventure the Podcast is brought to you by Fermented Adventure. Dawn, we have merchandise.
Yes, we do.
How do people find our merchandise?
They need to go onto our website at fermentedadventure.com and click on the apparel tab.
So go to fermentedadventure.com and click on the apparel tab, and what will they find?
They will find our Fermented Adventure the Podcast shirt. May contain alcohol, and we have a couple specials that we just did. Cerveza Made Me Do It and Tequila Made Me Do It.
Now, this is perfect for spring break, Cinco de Mayo, or even the summer, and you'll look really cool, and you'll be able to say, hey, it wasn't me, it was tequila or cerveza that made me do it.
Yes, that's true.
We have different things. We have shirts, we have glasses. What are some of the other things we have in there? Women's stuff, men's stuff, tank tops?
Tanks, tees, sweatshirts, pullover hoodies, you name it.
You name it, we have it, and more to come, right?
More to come.
Fermentedadventure.com, click on the apparel tab, buy the merchandise. Cheers! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, craft spirit enthusiasts, and those interested in the intoxicating world of craft distilleries, cideries, meaderies, wineries, and the occasional foray into breweries. It's Rich Shane, and welcome to Fermented Adventure, the podcast, where we bring you the fascinating people that are making the mash, fermenting, distilling, bottling, pouring, and delivering to you some of the finest libations in the world. Before we get started, here are a few housekeeping items. Thank you for bringing the podcast into wherever you are and whatever you're doing. We truly are grateful that you have chosen to listen and make us part of your day. It would mean the world to us if you left a 5-star review. This helps us climb in the rankings, and it makes it easier for others to find us. Don't hesitate to leave us your comments as well. If the podcast didn't meet your expectations, tell us why. We're always striving to improve. You can find us at fermentedadventure.com. We are on Instagram and Facebook as Fermented Adventure. Email us at fermentedadventure@gmail.com. All right, FA Nation, let's meet our guest. He's Ben Wenk. I'm Rich Shane, and this is Fermented Adventure, the podcast. We are joined again by Ben Wenk of Ploughman Cider. Ben, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, you were episode 39. So if people want to go back to episode 39 and listen to your story, how Ploughman started, all about Three Springs Farm, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Three Springs Fruit Farm. Yeah. That's our family's business.
Yep. Three Springs Fruit Farm. They can go check out the podcast, learn more. But where we are today is we did that podcast all the way back in September of 2020. And that was a long time ago. So catch us up with what's been going on with Ploughman since that time.
Sure. Well, we've certainly been busy. That was, still kind of mid-pandemic there. We've kind of most recently reopened the tap room. It's actually where I'm joining you from here today, to include a small kitchen and a food menu. So kind of tap room in its kind of fully realized state after many kind of starts and stops due to COVID reasons, kind of reopened this past May. So we've got a good team in place here now, and a great place to really try everything that we make. Probably the only place that you can really try everything that we make here at Ploughman, and got a little menu of locally sourced food to go along with it. And now that it's summertime, we've got our outdoor patio open. We've got music in here every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's been a big part of it. And yeah, I guess the other new thing, just given the circumstances being a little bit more improved from some other summers, we're kind of getting our festivals and events back in order. We've got a lot of fun places we'll be going to pour cider all around Pennsylvania here, including the Cider Fest, which takes place here in Adams County in June. But some other fun events as far west as Pittsburgh, as far east as Philadelphia, all points in between. We're really excited that the world has provided the opportunity for us to go back out into the field and do some fun events, and and have some fun this summer with all of our cider drinkers across the state.
Talk about, you mentioned Philly. You guys are still at Head House Square for the market down there?
Yeah, so we our farm is consistently there at the market every Sunday from 10 to 2, and we attend with the cider company every third Sunday. So yeah, cider company and the farm very busy at farmers markets for the whole of the summer. They're all up and running now. The farm is doing, let me count it up now. I guess that'd be 6 farmers markets a week. And the cider company has a different Saturday that we attend on a rotational basis. So we're at 4 different markets once a month on Saturdays. And we also do a local market here on Wednesdays as well for the cider company.
Share some of the ciders or some of the things that you've been working on since we talked. I mean, I watch on your social media feed, you're introducing new ciders quite often. Talk about some of them and, what you've been working on in the process.
Sure. So recently we've been really excited to bring back Distil Funk. That's a really unique product we make. It's mostly wild fermented peach. And 2021 being such a great year for stone fruit here in Adams County, across the Mid-Atlantic as well. We had an excess of beautiful peaches that allowed us to process enough to get ahead of the curve and make sure we could make a beautiful bottling of Distil Funk, which is just releasing now. Actually, we've had it here on tap at the tap room for a while, but those bottles are just now making it into the market. It's a great cider for folks who like Spanish styles and more, kind of farmhousey Belgian wild ales and Spanish style ciders. Distil Funk is definitely made with those kinds of folks in mind. Our latest Churchyard, I think, is fantastic. That's one of my favorite ciders we make, and its most recent bottling occurred about 2 months ago. So kind of late winter, early spring. That has some barrel character to it for the first time. That cider just keeps getting better each time we make it. And Dabinet Roxbury is the most recent release from our single varietal series. And even though it's 2 apples, but it's in the same spirit as the single variety series. And a blend of Dabinet and Roxbury Russet that also had some great barrel character from some of the French Armagnac barrels we're using in the cellar. I would say that Dabinet Roxbury and the Churchyard that we made are 2 of the favorite things that I think we've made so far here at the Cider Company. So, and we've got some fun collabs coming down the way. We did a Nicaraguan inspired cider called Puro Pinolero that we raised a bunch of money for Project Gettysburg Leon. That was all during April. I've got a fully packaged version of our collab with the Cider Johns coming out really soon, which we're really excited. That'll be available at the Cider Fest as well. And a couple other things that Edward and I were just talking about before I got on the horn here with you that are, kind of fun future releases that should be coming around sometime close to the end of July. Some really
a little preliminary to kind of pique our interest and keep us interested. Now, you mentioned a number of ciders, and I know you have the Cider Club that you do.
Yeah.
How's that been going for you?
It's been great. It's been steadily growing. It's available for drinkers in up to 40 different states, including the District of Columbia, where we can ship these products directly to your door. And that we're really excited. This next club shipment, which will be the end of June, as of right now, we'll have at least 2 club only releases. In other words, like ciders that you're going to maybe get at the tap room, but the only people outside the tap room that'll get those products will be our Cider Club members. And one of them will be truly exclusive to the Cider Club. So those will be really fun to add to what we're doing. And we'll start throwing in some more archival releases too, like a couple old bottles of Stark and Churchyard that people can add to their shares. And so it's really, it's kind of for the most dedicated and fervent of Ploughman cider drinkers. You can join our Plowshare Cider Club and get access to some cider that is truly rare and very unique. And we kind of save all of our best stuff for the folks who are supporting us in that way.
I think that's awesome. And I think that's exciting. And, knowing that, we're listened to across the country and internationally too. But one of the things I would say is, look, if you're listening out in California or Washington State, Oregon, a lot of the other cider producers out there, this is a great opportunity to try some ciders from here. Great ciders, high quality ciders you've probably met and saw some of those people at CiderCon 2022. That's where we last saw each other, going in many different directions. What was CiderCon? What did that mean for you in terms of, you've been there before, you're a well-established cidery now. What were some of your experiences?
Well, we had a great time at CiderCon this year. I have a great time at every CiderCon, but this one in particular, I really thought that Richmond was a great host city. It's a great state for cider making. I got to, visit a few of my friends in the Virginia cider industry and stop by their places. Had a great experience with that. Had a great tour downtown. Gary Flowers did an outstanding job with his pre-conference tour. We had a blast. The people, the food, the culture of Richmond was amazing. And it was great to see everybody again. There's a lot of these folks that we had, it was an effective use of our time to do the virtual CiderCon last year. We learned a lot, but it's not the same as meeting everyone in person and catching up and just seeing what people are getting into and how their lives outside of cider have been, and catching up with folks, and tried some outstanding ciders from all over the United States. And that's always good to kind of, fuel your fire and kind of inspire you and think about new things that might be good fits for what you're doing. And was very proud to see our Pennsylvania industry represented so well at Cider Share. We had a number of great Pennsylvania cideries who attended and poured at that event. And always a wonderful thing. We can showcase the best of our state at Cider Share to the rest of our, industry. And yeah, I look forward to it every year, and did not disappoint this year for sure.
Now, one of the things that really has resonated from a number of people I've spoken to is how much I think the grafting and how much orchard apples and cider apples. And I know you have the orchard there. Have you started to introduce some new apples? Anything new since we spoke last that you've been planting?
Oh, yeah. Very, very timely question. We had a number of trees that we bench grafted in the winter of 2020. Fall of 2020. We grew them in pots for a summer, irrigated them. And we recently just really Monday and Tuesdays, the last 2 days as I'm speaking to you here today, we're able to get those bench grafts out, planted into the field, which doubled the size of our variety trial block. So we're now looking at 178 new cultivars in Adams County soil under our, unique microclimate to really study them for their potential in cider, in pies, at fresh market, going to farmers markets, but 178 different cultivars that we're kind of keeping our eye on for right now. We've made some other plantings since we've spoken with you last that are a little bit larger, kind of more destined to grocery stores and fresh market and farmers market kind of plantings. But I certainly have, and this is part of the reason you go to a place like CiderCon. When I had a couple single varietal ciders from our friends at Albemarle Cider Works, and really got me thinking about climate change, some of those traditional southern cider varieties, and what the potential for them might be here in Adams County. And very excited that a few of those varieties are going to be fruiting from our first test block this year. So we'll get some actual evaluation for the first time on that fruit grown in our climate. And we'll spend some time evaluating them, and then that'll, make a really nice informed decision on for us as we continue to grow our acreage divided to cider apples. So it's an exciting thing, but it's having all those trial blocks and all those trees, it's a lot of work, but it's also, it's really important information for us going forward. So I'm really glad we were able to get those trees in this week.
That is tremendously exciting. We just had Man Off Market on the podcast. And one of the things that we discussed on the podcast was about these single varietals. And the concept or the idea that really emerged was the single varietals for apple cider today are where wine and grapes were back in the early days of Napa, in terms of think of the Chardonnay grape and how that really helped Napa, put their, flag in the wine world, right? Do you think, do you feel that, do you believe in where the cider market is, these single varietals are already exploding now, but really when somebody comes into the cidery, do you think that they're going to start to direct themselves to a single varietal and not just say, hey, do you have a cider, but do you have, and name the single varietal? We were talking about Gold Rush and, how that seems to get a lot of play for its flexibility, uniqueness, character, where it can become a strong single varietal. I can come into the cidery and say, do you have a Gold Rush on tap? Do you have a Gold Rush in a bottle? Do you feel that those single varietals are ready and peaked to do the same thing as a wine or a grape would?
I think they have the potential to do that. And that is a really exciting thing for the cider industry. The fact that people are starting to pick up on specific varieties and, oh, well, I like this cider and it said it had this apple in it. They can find that same apple in a different cider at a different place and start kind of building that knowledge base that's informing their purchasing decisions. And for us, the way you think about our single varietal series, honestly, that's a lot of what we're thinking about is education. Like we love drinking single varietal ciders, but we also kind of at the same time do acknowledge that like blending can make a cider that's superior to some of its parts. However, in order to make sure that customers are thinking about the way cider is made, that's where I think a single varietal cider has an important role, because it allows people to find an analog that they kind of already know about, like a single varietal Pinot Noir or a Chardonnay, like you're saying. And if they can start building this knowledge base of this cider with this apple has these characteristics, which I like, or maybe these characteristics I like less. When they start making more informed decisions, that's where cider, I think, can have the biggest impact and gain more inroads and find more drinkers. Which is to say, like, putting those varieties on your packaging, in my opinion, for anyone who's out there making cider is such an important step, because that's going to inform and educate that next generation of consumers to better identify what they're looking for in a cider. And so we love drinking single varietals. We love blending ciders, but we love what making them informs to a customer, if that makes sense.
I'll tell you, things haven't changed with you, because when we first spoke, it was really about education. It was really about information. It wasn't just, well, you make great cider, you make phenomenal cider, but that's the discussion. That's the inroad to the discussion of, let's talk about the history of apples and cider and the process and what all these different apples do and mean. And as you talked about blending and single varietals, nothing's changed on that regard, has it?
No. And that's quite honestly, I always kind of joke around. Education is in a lot of ways in my family, the second family business, mostly on my mother's side. My uncle, my mom, my aunt, we're all educators. And so that part kind of comes naturally, as does the agricultural side of things. But, that's your best consumer is always going to be your educated consumer. And especially when, we work so hard to put all of this nuance and terroir and choosing apples intentionally and carefully and harvesting them and pressing them with the same care and intention. Like, if you're going to go through all that trouble, you might as well make sure that as much of that is going to be attached to the product as what it can. Because it's one thing if you were sitting at my bar here at the tap room and I could sit down and explain all these to you as we're going through a couple ciders and trying a couple things. But in the marketplace, I have to create packages that tell that educational story in as well as they can with no one else present. And So to me, that's where single varietal ciders and listing those cultivars on each package is so important, because I'm not always going to be there to go through the details, or any of our great tap room associates here behind the bar. Like, they're all very good at talking through how these products are made and what makes them unique. But if you're not here at the tap room, you're out in the field, you're out in the marketplace, you're at a bar or restaurant, or picking a 4-pack up at a distributor. Those products need to kind of speak for themselves. And I think listing those varieties and having single varietal ciders it's hopefully changing the way people think about those products.
All right, let's talk about where you're going to be, where you can educate, you can talk to the consumer, and that's going to be Cider Fest PA, and that's coming up on June 11th in all places, Gettysburg, right?
That's correct.
So talk about that. This is not the first one. This has been going on for a few years, but I get a sense, based on the groundswell of enthusiasm, that this is really something that a lot of people are now looking forward to. I think especially coming out of pandemic, but more so that this is where cider is. People are now, hey, there's a Cider Fest. Let's go to the Cider Fest, just as people are doing with beer festivals. Yeah,
which is incredibly exciting. And this festival specifically, it just has this history of just being beautiful, engaging, well attended, and it's always just in-state producers from all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There's none of the big national type of ciders available. It's very specifically and intentionally Pennsylvania, very specifically small producer based. And it's hosted right here in Adams County, which is, the 5th largest apple producing county in the United States, home to about 9 billion bushels of apples annually. And to have such a great cider event here within Adams County in the South Mountain region of Pennsylvania that's known for apples, it's a perfect fit. The last one that we had was held at a different venue in 2019. It was essentially a turn people away sellout. And the new venue, which is going to be at Jack's, which is Mela Kitchen, just outside of the outlets up at 97 in Gettysburg. It has potential for this event to even grow a little bit more. There's more room to expand, close proximity to walkable hotels for folks. So, we're very eager to welcome everybody back to Adams County and provide a great experience in Adams County around cider. That's the name of the game for us.
And of course, don't forget, your tap room's going to be open. So even after the Cider Fest ends at 4:00, you can head down to the square. It's a circle square. I'm still sure not how they. It's still. I call it the square. I call it the circle. I think it's called the square, right?
Yeah. Colloquially, the square. It is a roundabout, which is easier for some drivers to navigate than others, but just take your time. It makes sense once you get there. But yeah, we have. I actually would encourage folks. Make a weekend of it. There's great hotel accommodations available. I know we have we've been doing a summer concert series at the National Apple Museum in Biglerville. So Friday night, one of the best bands in the region is going to be posted up at the Apple Museum. You can go tour the Apple Museum, hear a great concert, enjoy some cider on Friday night, hang out for the festival. Our tap room will be pouring guest ciders from some of our favorite friends and producers around the state for that weekend. So you'll be able to not only get everything that we make here, but some other great, incredible guest ciders as well for the whole weekend at the tap room. And make a weekend of it. There's incredible opportunities for, not only, history-based tourism, but, you go a little bit north of Adams County, you can get into some great, hiking trails, mountain biking, kayaks, Fuller Lake, Laurel Lake, Appalachian Trail. There's a lot that our area has to offer for a really lovely weekend vacation, and we can't wait to welcome everybody here.
You are the number one Adams County tourism ambassador. I mean, you love the area and you're from the area and you want to see and have people appreciate it for the same reason you do, right?
For sure. And you referenced Napa earlier. I'll tell you a very brief story. When you're growing up in an area like this, sometimes you can get swept up in you don't too far in the forest to see the trees, maybe we'll say. And
okay.
One of the last family vacations we made was to Napa Valley, and I was just struck by how beautiful all the rolling, cascading hillsides that are just littered with beautiful grapevines. It was just such a visually striking thing. And I came home the next weekend and was driving my car back from band practice and on moonlit night, and I just realized, I'm like, we have the same thing here. Northern Adams County is the very, very same visual. It's just apple trees and instead of grapevines, but the beautiful rolling hillsides filled with agriculture and the great products that those farmers are creating. It's a really, really fun place to visit. It is a great place to visit. We can't wait to see you on the June 11th, right? We can't wait to see you on June 11th. The Cider Fest runs from 12 to 4. You can go online and get your tickets. I don't know if the code still works, but there's a code for Cider Fan for $5 off. If you do that, as you mentioned, it's at the outlet shops at Gettysburg. But I think more importantly, plan the weekend. You listed quite a few things that sound very exciting, not only for the cider lover, but you've got those that love apples, those that love music. And downtown Gettysburg, if you've never been, this is the perfect weekend probably to do so. Lots of shops, lots of restaurants, great restaurants. And visit the tap room on the Circle Square. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're here for you. We would love to see and share some unique ciders with you. But yeah, we're just so honored to have this festival in Adams County. It's such a good fit with the apples we produce here and plenty of other cideries here in Gettysburg.
I was going to say that there's breweries, cideries. You've got a distillery not too far.
Mason-Dixon.
Mason-Dixon. They would love to see you. They have a great restaurant there too. So there's so much to do. Plan the weekend. Make it a week. Hey, stay a month, right?
We've got room for you. However long you'd like to stay with us.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, there's a battlefield there, once hollow ground, all those things that Lincoln spoke about.
Yep, 100%. And, there's, great self-guided tours. The tour guides they hire here in Gettysburg to do personalized tours. The tests and the stuff they have to go through to be an officially licensed battlefield guide is very rigorous, and there's no way you could come here and have a battlefield tour and not be anything other than impressed. They do a great job.
Ben, I'm always impressed with you. I love talking to you. We could spend days talking. I know you're busy. You've got more cider to make and apples to grow and all those things. Thanks for being a great friend of Fermented Adventure in the podcast. We can't wait. Again, I'm excited. I'm ready to pack my bags and come out for this event, but we can't wait to see you over the weekend on June 11th. Okay.
Wonderful. And thank you for everything you folks do, championing small producers like this. It really means a lot to all of us, and we appreciate it.
You're not just a small producer. You're big on flavor, big on character, and big on history and information.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.